I can't be without my water. It's like a problem.
Actually, I
Oh,
I
shoot.
have water at all times.
Yeah, I have water at all. I get nervous if I don't have a cup of water with me.
Mhm.
So
Oh, people drink my water. Before we get started, Carrie, I just have a little maintenance question. Is it you or your husband that helps with these college applications process?
Joe handles most of it, but I'm going to be honest. Thank you, Roses. That we did hire somebody for my oldest, and she took him through the application process and made sure the essay was written and like that the Common App and all of that was done.
Yes.
Please tell me it was that person that got arrested for helping all the celebs get into college. Please tell me that it was
Pasting
that
their
person.
heads on. So we did that for my oldest. Jack was a different story. And then my middle guy, I'm so grateful. I think I told you guys, I texted you. He just accepted an offer from Bates College.
Oh yeah.
So glad. So we're done. Like
Oh,
normally we'd be right where you are, like all the applications, and has he done all the work? And are you
well,
knee deep in it?
well, it's taken me like a month to figure out this like residency. Somebody used his social security number by accident. And so we've had to like prove we're residents. So I've been wasting all this time on that. I
Oh,
think the other stuff is fine. He does have one essay he needs to do that he does not seem to be doing. But
yeah.
anyway,
Well, there is
that's
that.
enough about that. I just was curious.
Yeah, it's a
Um,
lot. But Joe handles. Yeah, that's above my pay grade around here, and he handles all the visits. I don't do any of that.
Joe Joe really might be. I'm looking for Joe when he comes to visit here.
Oh, he's something else. Honey, you hear that? He's on the couch right now watching football.
Yeah, when
Adrian
I
is impressed by you that you handle all the college stuff. He just went out and bought all new blinds for everybody's room because I'm like, the
and he
blinds are all broken.
and he was in charge of all the virtual schooling during COVID.
Joe did virtual schooling. Joe asked to do virtual school. He said he was the headmaster and I was the lunch lady.
And you had all 5 home then, too.
I had all 5 home.
Yeah.
So Joe owns a dental practice in town, and he owns a building adjacent to it, and it happened to be empty. So he's like, he took them all there. We set them all up. They each had their own desk. It was amazing. And I was home like this on my Kindle, like reading my book.
I mean,
And
that's telling that the world is not fair, and Carrie is at one end of it. I would just like to
on the
point out.
1%, on the 1%er. Well, listen,
Sawyer and I are still recovering from our COVID teacher son experience. Like it was so traumatic trying to like teach. We actually switched schools because so the way it worked here was many of our private schools and our parochial schools stayed open. They only closed the minimum, where public schools were like done. So when it
Oh, not us. We stayed open the whole time.
so our Sawyer actually we switched schools, and that was the main reason. It was like our relationship cannot survive me trying to teach you to read. So
it was challenging. I mean, what was nice about Joe, first of all, it got them out of the house. They had somewhere, they left every morning by 7:30.
See, that's huge.
It was huge. And on Fridays, they left early for Dunkin' Donuts, which was still open. And then when he brought them home and when they ran out of work to do, he made them like paint supply offices or hang light fixtures or change light bulbs. Like he's a doer. But when they got home at 3 o'clock, it was like, do whatever you want. I don't care. You've been out all day. We did the best we could. And then they could just chill. So, boy, those days feel long ago, don't they?
I almost feel like you're describing like the fact that like ET is one of your children. Like this is blowing my mind. But we're not talking about that tonight.
Not tonight.
Tonight we have a surprise topic for Kate and Carrie. So this afternoon was on a subscriber video, and I said, tonight it's on my page and I want to host it, and I'm thinking of topics. And like Kate said, somebody said, oh, potty training, because when you're in the middle of potty training or you're not there, you want to talk about it. But then we kind of went through some other topics, and it made me think, which is why I have on this robe, symbolic.
I thought you were at the Ritz Carlton.
No, I'm at the Wood Motel 6. And it made me think, let's take a journey back in time and we're just going to pick an age. So like Kate, you're going to do 6, and Carrie, you're going to do 12, and I'm going to do 3. And we're going to talk about where we were then we're going to talk about where we were then, because I think our followers get where we are now,
Yep.
but I sometimes wish they had access to us back then, because if they're new into it, unless they scroll back and find stuff, it's just interesting. So that's your assignment.
I love it. You gave me a
So
hard year.
let's see. Kate, you're going to go first.
I don't understand the assignment.
Oh, she's lost already.
Talk about Cooper when he was 6 years old.
Talk about you when Cooper was 6 years old.
Okay. To set the scene, I was divorced. I was living alone with Cooper and Sawyer. So they were 6 and 4. I worked for PBS. I had a pretty big job that required me. And back then you were butt in the chair 40 some hours a week, and then you work 20 at home. That's pretty common in the nonprofit sector. Cooper would have had he would be in the middle of kindergarten, about to be kicked out.
Oh.
And I always say, I don't know if he was kicked out or if they asked us to leave or if we just left. I actually, 6 is a perfect time frame for me because it's what I speak about when I do public speaking. I was a caregiver in crisis. That's the word that I use, and I don't think it's talked about enough. I told everyone every day that I was fine. I made it to work with makeup on and high heels and nice clothes and led big meetings. And I said fine so many times, it wasn't even a word anymore. And I cried in the bathroom and I didn't eat food and I lived on caffeine and didn't sleep. And I was a martyr. I was the only one that could help Cooper. And I pushed everyone away. Stop answering text messages, stop returning phone calls, just because for a few reasons. Like, I didn't want anyone to know what a failure I was. I didn't want anyone to know how severe Cooper was, because we were looking at some pretty severe behaviors. I didn't want, if I talked about it, it was real. I had just started Facebook, actually, and started sharing some of it. I would say 6 was one of the hardest, the beginning of the hard for me. 6 to 8 were, I always say 4 to 8, but 6 to 8 was really hard.
And tell me, what has surprised you so much now from when he was 6?
Cooper then versus now?
Yeah, for you and for him, maybe.
So for me, I felt like from the very day we got the diagnosis that autism was presented as something that we needed to overcome, that Cooper needed to be changed to fit into this world. The goal was to catch him up by kindergarten, to get him like the other kids. And I think that's a disservice. I think my job really should have been to be this buffer and to help the world understand him and to figure out what he needed. Communication was key. We needed to get some communication. We needed to get him potty trained. We needed to get eating foods and sleeping and all the parts. I think if I would have known that earlier on, that, and I don't know how you tell someone that, like, this might not change. This might not get better. You might be in this place. But the sooner that you can meet him where he's at, the better. So that I really had to transform. Like, I went on a full journey. I became a completely different person, and helping Cooper is really, and others like him and parents, has become my life. Like, my mission is to help moms and dads. And Cooper, I can't even say enough things. So for parents with younger kids watching, Cooper made his biggest gains between age 10 and 12. And I think Carrie might nod at that. Like, there is something that happens at age 12. Like, it's unbelievable. He is doing things that I can't even believe. And just for a positive drop, like, yesterday we went to a brand new train station. I brought him and my youngest daughter. He walked in safely. I was a little scared. We paid, we looked at trains. We went through the free bin. We settled on 20 things. When we left, we drove home, we stopped at the grocery store. Like, his gains are monumental, but they may not be the gains that you see in a neurotypical child, but for him, they're huge. It gets better.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Carrie?
Well, you really picked a good age for me, because Kate's right. So to give you some backstory, like, we have 5 kids. Jack's the second oldest. He's 19 now. He did make great strides between 10 and 12, But the question I'm asked the most about probably is puberty. And 12, Jack like fell off a ledge. Our lives completely fell apart right along with him. His anxiety completely spiked. The social landscape changes in middle school. He was in 6th grade and he could not keep up with it. He had behaviors every day. I had a pit in my stomach every day starting around 2 o'clock to see if they were going to call me to come pick him up. And I would say 3 times at least, I would walk in and the first time I was so taken aback, I was like, I don't know what's going on. All these people have walkie talkies and they're bustling around and maybe there's a celebrity on property. And no, they had, and all the kids were lining the hallways. And they had to clear the classroom because of him. And I will get emotional. I just wrote about it today. I would go in and he'd be huddled in a corner, completely bewildered, completely overwhelmed, and completely alone. And it was a turning point, like you mentioned, Kate, how age 6 was for you. You know, every day was like, Jack, what are you doing? Why did you bite that teacher? Now you apologize. We don't do that. This is how it works. You know, you so closely tie your moral compass to the behavior of your kids. And when there's an outlier, like a Jack or a Cooper, you think, who are we? We don't raise kids that hit teachers, that swear at kids on the playground. I had to untether my own moral compass and just take it out of the equation altogether. It had nothing to do with it. We wound up getting him tested by a neuropsychologist who pointed out he has been masking up to this point academically. She revealed he was in the like 1 percentile for reading comprehension, for a whole language development. And her metaphor, her example was, imagine you are in a room full of people that speak French and you speak 2 words of French. You speak just enough to know, oh, everybody knows what's going on, but I don't. Wouldn't you be aggravated day after day? Once we got all of that in place, we decided, we had a meeting and we moved him out of district. But to parents out there, I get a lot of people who are in the midst of puberty. I don't know if this worked or not, but I'm going to tell you, it eased all of our spirits. We made the home the safe place. By that, I mean, when he came home in the afternoon, there was no talk of school. There was no reprimanding for the behaviors. He would go in my bathtub and without any water, he would lie in it completely clothed and just like cocoon. And I just took my cues from him. He needs to cocoon here. That's when we started. We would light candles at dinner time, just little treats. I always made sure, this sounds so kind of inconsequential, but I always made his bed in the morning because I just wanted him to get into a bed that was pulled smooth, you know, and like clean at the end of the day. Just we refocused on making his life comfortable in other ways. So we definitely grew a lot as a family, but it was a very, very chaotic time for us.
Carrie, that moral compass thing, that is, you know, that really hits the nail on the head.
Oh, I wrote it down.
There is a lot of, so we're going through what Carrie described. We're going through right now in real time. And I want to sometimes scream, Cooper is loved. He is cared for. He's got this great family. And I don't know why these things happen. I'm not there. I can't fix it. I can't change it. I don't know if I believe who I believe, like all these things, like, why would he, and it's like, sometimes where I'm landing is sometimes it just is.
Yes.
It just is. And I can't fix this. I can't. So that's really powerful for me. I have to get to that point.
It takes a bit because, you know, you're very on display. We're very on display. I had to walk through that carpool lane day after day. They knew why I was there. I live in a very small town. And it's like, it's really hard not to attach our own egos to our children. We do it in a myriad of ways, our children's weight, our children's language, all of it. And Jack, you know, forced me to do a 180. He's not a reflection of anything other than the diagnosis itself.
But the second part of it, I'll let Adrienne speak. But, you know, where I am is it's like, I just can't believe that there's people that might not like my son. Like that's another part of it too. And I don't know if you've ever felt that, but like where like maybe they're like so happy when he leaves at 12:30 for the day, or they're like, oh, this kid again. Like I've never felt that with my other three kids. And it is a crushing feeling that I can't even really put into words.
Yeah, that absolutely. I also struggled with, and I wrote a lot about it around that time, that he was becoming part of other kids' core memories related to school, right? So a core memory is a memory that has a sensation attached to it. He scared children. He was always a big kid. Looking back on their childhood, they're going to say one day around a dinner table, I went to school with this kid, Jack, and he threw computers and they had walkie talkies. He's a part of their fabric and not in a positive way. And that was really hard for me. It's still hard for me because I know he looms large in some ways, and I can't erase that. But it recommits me to what we do because, maybe that is their core memory, or maybe they'll see a kid one day when they're in their 30s and 40s, or they'll have their own child who's complicated, and they'll think back and think, wow, this boy was a part of my universe and he worked so hard to do the best he could.
Right. That's what I was just thinking when you said that. I was thinking, you don't underestimate that maybe that wasn't a real gift for them too, and I think a gift of, like Kate, I think that moral compass attachment is huge. It's that loom. I remember I wrote early on, I would say, I have these three children and I just thought I was this wonderful mother. I just was like, look at this. They're all doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. And then Amos falls out of the sky and this very square in a circle world. And then it like reflects poorly on me, and trying that untethering, as you said, is super hard to do when you have tethered yourself, probably in a way we shouldn't have, for taking kind of this credit that now you have to step back and say, well, this doesn't make sense, because if I'm responsible for them being great, then I'm responsible for him dropping the F-bomb, or, all these things that are mortifying, or, whatever, where you are. So mine, I was going to talk about when Amos was 3. And it's funny, I almost feel like we're kind of circling back to 3 right now in different ways. Like tonight, I have on this robe because I had taken a shower and gotten dressed, and then he needed a shower because my daughter pointed out that he'd been in the same clothes since Friday. And not because, we just didn't get to a shower. Anyway, for no good reason. So I was like, we're going to get our shower. Well, I have to get in the shower with him to wash his hair,
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, okay, Adrian, he's 9, he's almost 10. Like, surely in 3 years, I'm going to look back and be like, you used to get in the shower with him, telling myself, like, this is not going to be forever, but some things might be forever. And that doesn't mean they're hard. We're in a stage right now, we have some self harm. And he got really upset this afternoon. He woke up kind of foul, and my daughter and I tried to get him on a walk, and he just was screaming in a way I have never heard on the back of the golf cart. We're driving through town, and I'm sure people think we've like, or tasing him or something. And I still don't know what caused the meltdown. I have no idea. Finally, she did a really good job. We went to a neighbor's house and they have a big tree and he likes to climb in it, and chased him for about 30 minutes. And then he kind of, smoothed out. But I feel like I just kind of circle a little bit. Like I think everything's great, and then the medicine, and then it all feels like it just starts over.
So, all of us have 4 or 5 children in a different birth order. And I'll tell you, with Cooper, it's been constant steps forward and steps back. And then even standing still for long periods of time and not changing at all. I've never felt that with my other 3 children. Like they've always been very, right. And with Cooper, it really is like this. And I don't know if people outside our world understand, like our kids lose skills, they gain skills, they learn them sideways and backwards and inside out, and then they're gone. And it kind of seems too like, and I've heard this from other parents, that everything returns. So when you think that you've overcome something, it returns. And maybe that's, why it's so defeating, is like you feel like you've climbed this mountain, and right now you're feeling again like you're back in this 3-year-old world.
Right. Well, and Tammy Stevens just said, have y'all ever had trouble with meds stopping all of a sudden for anxiety? Tammy, I think that's what's happening with us. I think we're in a bad place with medicine, and we tried to make a switch this summer, and it was really hard. I think the only thing I learned was that, boy, he needs medicine. So I know what we have is working better than nothing, but it is not working right.
I think that is a preconception or misconception of medication. It doesn't take away the anxiety. It is not like poof, it's gone and Jack's functioning at a baseline level. It smooths the edges. That's how I describe it. And Kate, like what you were saying, how our other kids are kind of on this, for the most part, steady linear climb. Yeah. To me, it almost, just in talking to Jack this weekend, it's like he almost can't execute all the skills he has at once. Like, I know he has the skills to be social, and he has the skills that he's functioning here, and he's, say we say 5 of them. He can only really operate 2 or 3 at a time, if that makes sense.
Oh, interesting.
So one like drops by the wayside. Like, this weekend he's, so for people new to our story, he's 19. He's in a fully supported residential space. He takes 2 college classes. But this weekend there was a little, inappropriate commentary he's letting loose in the community room, even though last year he was really putting himself at risk of losing everything he worked for. So you want to just go, why are what the outcome looks like here? Like, we're constantly tracing him back to like, did that work for you last year? Is it going to work for you again this year? And kind of control that impulsivity as best we can.
Well, and I think the other, just to build on that, is like, I feel like so many things, like I can see a cause, I can see an effect. So like, so for example, Sawyer, my 10-year-old, had 2 sleepovers this weekend. He has spent the last 2 hours crying because he's so exhausted he can't even see straight. Like, I can see, if I do this, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
With autism and Cooper's anxiety specifically, I often feel blind. Like, and then I am expected to defend this behavior or explain this behavior. This just happened with my wonderful father-in-law. We were all out doing something, and Cooper was full of anxiety. And I feel like the pressure is on me to like explain it and like make it stop, and it's like, I think this just is. Yeah. It can't be disciplined out. It can't be, I think this is just the only way that he can react to this. Yeah. And then do you feel like you're this buffer, this defender, this mouthpiece? And it's like, but I don't really know why.
Yeah. I don't have that on the day-to-day basis anymore because Jack doesn't really live here, but on a different scale, because I'm still that buffer. I call it autism management. I'm still managing from afar with his team. Like, yeah, we've seen him do that before. Have we tried this? This is the language that gets through to Jack that we've always used. Like, we always use this metaphor here, especially for my youngest. Like, picture yourself like a pot on a stove. You don't want to boil. You want to simmer. Bring yourself back down to a simmer. That always resonated with Jack. So now I find myself in touch with his academic team. Like, let's start reintroducing this language again to get him to bring himself back down. So, it just calls to mind, like, who is going to do this when I'm 95?
Mm-hmm. Huh. Yeah, and there's so much teaching, I think, that's even separate from me making y'all take a memory lap. But think of all the teaching that, and people will always offer nice suggestions, but like, you can only teach so much in a day, and then you're done with the teaching. Like, so for me, the hair washing, our caregiver works, that's one of his goals. So she works with him on that, and he's better, but like, I can't teach all the time. Like, I might pick, today we went to the grocery store, and he's gotten good at going to find what he wants. And he pushed the cart today out of there by himself because we had 2 carts. And, I was like, well, that's really great. That's a good But we do that all the time. I mean, don't y'all think? I mean, sometimes you're just like,
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's why our last live I talked about, I think it was on here, about, or maybe it was my supporter lives, like I long for a life of ease. So like Sawyer and I can run to the store and grab lunch and we're just mother son.
Yes.
With Cooper and I stopped at our grocery store yesterday and it's teaching. It's practicing walking. It's pushing the cart. It's putting things gently in the cart, not grabbing everything. I had a funny moment where it's one of the grocery stores. It's kind of old fashioned where the cart goes behind with the cashier and you stand in front. So I kept Winnie in there and I'm like, she'll be fine. Cause I had to hold Cooper. I have to bear hug him. And I was like, just give her a cookie, like, hi, Winnie, she's fine. And then she like came out the other side. And like, but like, it's a funny example of like, everything is teaching.
Yes.
There's no ease yet.
I always said I only wanted to be the mom. Yeah. And I think because of that, I'm putting these points together, connecting these dots right here with you ladies, that I think I really pulled back with my other kids and was determined to only be the mom. If somebody was struggling with homework, we found a tutor to meet with them. I just didn't want to get into managing their lives in any level other than motherhood, because I had to do it so much for him when I only wanted to be his mother.
Like you were just worn out.
Yeah, and I knew where I thrive. I'm best suited to that. I'm not good at homework battles. I'm not good at sports management. As a result, my kids kind of grew into, mine are all teenagers now. I always say my kids could live alone. My daughter signed up for a crew camp this summer. She did all the paperwork. She figured out how to pay for it. The morning we left, she brought me the directions and she was all packed. She said, take me here.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, like, and so maybe for people like, adjacent to our life, and I don't know what it was like with Jack or Amos now, but like, so Cooper does 2 things a week, which is a lot. I mean, that's brand new. He rides therapeutic horses on Monday nights. Then he does basketball right now on Tuesday nights. I have to actually be a side walker. Mm-hmm. I had to buy boots. I have to go out there. And for the full 30 minutes, I'm holding a timer. I am talking it through. I'm wowing. I'm more walking. I'm doing it all. I am like sweating, you guys. If you saw me, I am like sweating. For basketball, we're doing hand over hand. We're throwing it because he won't engage with anyone else. And so where I'm going with this is like with Sawyer, I went to 2 baseball games today and I sat and I drank coffee and I chatted with moms. Like,
yeah. Which is
no
like, and I tell you what, sitting and talking to people, I mean, I
mental health helper. Like when I left, I talked to my friend Molly today for an hour and we laughed. And when it was over, I felt like a new person. With Cooper, I'm separated. I don't get to talk. I'm so isolated. Even though I'm there, I don't get to talk to anybody because he'll run off.
And that might be, somebody mentioned for the next, because we're about out of time, somebody mentioned talking about caregiving for a topic. And I think that y'all just helped me think about it in my own mind, different from other people. But today we went to, I told you he woke up not great, but I was like, we're going to go to church, breakfast at church, and then we're going to go to Sunday school, and I'll go with him to Sunday school. And it wasn't happening. And so we left, and of course the door was locked. So we had to walk through the mom class, the Sunday school class. And there are all these women, in there. And I wanted to stay. I didn't want to go home. I wanted to stay and go to Sunday school and like connect and learn and listen.
Yes.
And somebody could say, well, your husband or you're this or that. But like, you can't always, it's just not our life. We don't get that. And so we've got to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves in other ways. And my husband said one time, you're really good at self-preservation. And I was like, I think I've kind of learned that I have to be. If I go away for work for one night, I try to stay away for 2. So I can have like one to just maybe get work done. I mean, I'm not even talking like get a pedicure, just sit and work on my calendar or airline tickets or college essay editing or whatever, anyway.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask before we go, so Amos, is he just not like, he would just skip washing his hair, or he can't really can't manage the movement of it?
Well, I honestly have no idea because I haven't even tried.
Oh, I was just curious.
This is what Cooper does. He has no, it's like, there's just not, he could never do it.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Amos, just getting him to stand under the water, like, is to me progress.
Yep,
So
it's huge for us too.
so I guess I'm like, no, or he puts his shoes on. Now he can't put all his shoes on, so he just wears this one pair of like rubber natives, they're kind of like Crocs. So I think he could, and that's our caregiver works really hard on these kind of goals with him and keeps me enterprised. And then when I feel a boost, but like today, I was done, like I couldn't do that too, anyway.
Well, like speaking just, about progress with self-care like that, and someone asked, would Amos sit in the bathtub? Well, baths are great, but Cooper's a big person now. He's the size of me, and baths take time, and I have to bend over, and I'm getting older, and I have to get in there. So think about that when you're in your 70s. Do you want to be? Does a caregiver at a group home want to be bending over bathing a child? They'd rather have him shower. You got to think about these things, and this older parents have told me this stuff. So we worked so long to get him in the shower. He'll go in now. Like, that's huge, right?
Right.
There's a 10-minute runaround to get him in there. And then Jamie will bathe him together, or I will reach a hand in. And I get water everywhere, but it's fine. And I will wash his hair, and then I wash all his parts. And I'll tell you, that's my most emotional thing. I tear up all the time because I can't imagine someone loving him enough to do that for him after we're gone. So my goal is to teach this kid how to bathe. Yeah.
Right.
He'll get there. He'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone showed me these, like, I just saw them at Ulta. So they hold them, and it looks like maybe like a little massage brush, and it's for shampoo. It's for lathering.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Jack would love that. Jack loves products and bathing. And
he and Blair. Well,
yeah.
Thank y'all for coming on tonight. I think this time I really like. We've had a lot of people watching. Okay, we're going night night.
Oh, night night. I love night night. This
Well,
time
Carrie, talk about your book real quick though before we go.
Yes. So sorry. So the audio is up for pre-sale for What Color is Monday. You can get it on Audible, or I'll drop the link, or Amazon. And I think next week, if we're here, if you guys are in the mood, next week is the first day of my pre-sale for Half My Sky. Can I just show the cover really quick?
Yes, show us the cover.
I meant to hold it. Okay.
So Carrie, you're talking about two different things. So explain.
I am.
So What Color is Monday? You just recorded the audio.
Audio is done for pre-sale for that. And then let's see if I can get this. This is my new book.
Just a minute, go upstairs.
Called Half My Sky. This is
the cover.
It's so
pretty.
Oh,
it looks really beautiful.
It looks so good.
And the quote on the top is, "Half My Sky is a mother's story and how she learned that she had to let her autistic child gradually do new things without her help." Dr. Temple Grandin. And then on the back, we have some beautiful quotes from Adrian Wood and Kate from Finding Cooper's Voice. And we also have Grown and Flown is on the back. And then Jessica Daniels, a New York Times bestselling author. So, thank you. If you're in the mood next week, I have a little excerpt I'd like to read from it.
And and then we can literally go to Amazon and pre-order.
Pre-order next Sunday, October 1st.
Next Sunday. Okay.
Yes.
And I would just like to ask, who helped you pick that lovely photo for the cover?
You know what? Honestly, you guys, we were on a live when we decided.
I said it.
No, it was me.
It was me.
No,
it was
this
collaborative.
She steals ideas.
Collaboration. And this is in Italy. We're in Italy here at my husband's mother's hometown. So it's very special.
They give me no credit and they don't let me talk.
There it is.
Do you see how quiet we were? No messages, please.
Please don't message us and tell us about Adrian's.
Message them and tell them I'm coming.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye. Thank y'all.